Hollywood's golden age wasn't just about glitz, glamour, and unforgettable stars. It was also a time of hidden secrets. Imagine this. Some of the biggest names, the most iconic faces, were living double lives, hiding their true selves from the public. These stars were adored by millions, yet behind closed doors, they were forced to keep their sexuality a secret. Why? And how did they manage to survive in an industry that demanded silence? Today we're revealing the shocking truth about 21 secretly gay stars who shaped the golden age of Hollywood. Get ready to uncover what was really happening behind the scenes. Will Geer. Will Geer, best known for his heartfelt portrayal of Grandpa Zebulon Walton on The Waltons, won over audiences with his genuine warmth. His depiction of the wise and compassionate family patriarch became a lasting emblem of strong family values. However, beyond the screen, Geer's life was far more intricate and groundbreaking than his television role suggested. During the 1930s, Geer was romantically involved with Harry Hay, a key activist and a pioneer of the modern gay rights movement. Their relationship was rooted in a mutual dedication to social justice, as both were active in leftist politics, including the Communist Party. Nevertheless, due to societal expectations, Geer eventually married actress Herta Vare, with whom he had 3 children. Though they divorced in 1954, the two remained close, and Ware was fully aware of Geer's sexuality. Although he largely kept his personal life private, Geer never strayed from his devotion to progressive activism. Over the years, he championed workers' rights and subtly advocated for LGBTQ+ issues within his artistic and social circles. Reflecting on his quiet yet steadfast authenticity, Herta Ware once remarked, "Will lived his truth quietly, but he lived it." Juggling the challenges of private struggles and public life, Geer's legacy is defined not only by his memorable acting career, but also by his quiet courage in an unforgiving time. His story stands as a testament to the many forms of love and activism, both of which can leave a profound and lasting impact. Rudolph Valentino. Rudolph Valentino, celebrated as the Latin lover of silent films, emerged as a defining cultural icon in the 1920s. His piercing gaze and undeniable charm propelled him to the pinnacle of Hollywood stardom, earning him legions of devoted admirers. Through roles in movies like Blood and Sand and The Sheik, he exuded an enigmatic appeal that captured the romantic fantasies of the time. However, his private life became a magnet for relentless conjecture, especially concerning his sexual orientation. The gossip intensified due to Valentino's 2 highly publicized marriages. His union with actress Jean Acker concluded abruptly on their wedding night, sparking rumors of discord. His subsequent marriage to Natasha Rambova was marked by turbulence and brevity. Despite his reputation as a womanizer, his intimate friendships with men, among them whispers of a connection with actor Jean Gielgud, ignited widespread speculation. Author Samuel Stewart later asserted, based on estate records, that Valentino had been his lover, though this claim remains unsubstantiated. Valentino vehemently refuted allegations of homosexuality, once famously stating, "I have more women in love with me than any man could ever have." Nevertheless, his perceived effeminacy and departure from conventional masculine norms invited ridicule from tabloids who derisively labeled him a pink powder puff. Despite efforts to project a more traditionally masculine image, the rumors persisted, underscoring the era's strict gender expectations and hostility toward ambiguity. At just 31, Valentino's sudden passing solidified his legendary legacy. In retrospect, the murmurs about his sexuality underscore the immense pressures faced by LGBTQ+ individuals in a Hollywood fixated on conformity where love often demanded concealment. Sir John Gielgud. Sir John Gielgud, a towering figure in British theatre, stands as one of the 20th century's most esteemed actors. Known for his commanding voice and brilliant renditions of Shakespeare's iconic roles, Gielgud's career spanned over 60 years, achieving success on both stage and screen. From Hamlet to Prospero, his portrayals set a benchmark for classical acting, earning him widespread admiration and securing his status as a revered figure in the theatrical world. However, Gielgud's personal life revealed a more intricate narrative. Within the close-knit British theatre community, his homosexuality was well known. accepted among fellow artists, but concealed from the public due to the era's restrictive laws and social norms. This delicate secrecy was ruptured in 1953 when Gielgud was arrested for importuning for immoral purposes, a term used to describe soliciting homosexual acts. While the scandal had the potential to end his career, Gielgud's reputation remained largely intact, and to many surprise, he continued to flourish, buoyed by the unwavering support of his colleagues. Gielgud never openly discussed his sexuality, maintaining a private life despite becoming a symbol of strength and resilience during a time of harsh societal judgment. Reflecting on his ability to persevere, he once remarked, "I had to live my life as a compromise, but it never diminished my love for the theatre." Liberace. Liberace, the extravagant piano virtuoso adorned in rhinestones, captivated audiences around the globe with his remarkable talent and flamboyant stage persona. Dubbed Mr. Showmanship, he elevated piano performances into grand theatrical events, merging classical music with pop culture in a style all his own. Cherished by fans for his charisma, humor, and lavish persona, Liberace became one of the most iconic entertainers of the 20th century. Yet beneath the glitter and candelabras, Liberace led a life shielded from the public eye. Despite frequent speculation about his sexuality, he firmly denied being gay, often fabricating stories of relationships with women to protect the heterosexual image he meticulously maintained. In one memorable interview, he even described the type of woman he would marry, further deflecting attention from the swirling rumors. In private, however, Liberace had relationships with men, most notably with Scott Thorson, who later sued him for palimony, revealing details of their turbulent and romantic connection. While gossip columns and legal disputes hinted at the truth, Liberace steadfastly preserved his public persona. Even after his death in 1987 from AIDS-related complications, the question of his sexuality remained a topic of mystery. Liberace's refusal to publicly embrace his identity underscores the intense pressures of his time. Beneath his dazzling performances was a man who feared societal judgment, yet whose legacy, both in his music and his life, continues to inspire, offering a poignant reminder of the costs of concealing one's truth under the spotlight. Some of these stars risked everything to keep their secrets safe. Drop a one and prepare yourself for an emotional look at love, fame, and sacrifice in old Hollywood. Raymond Burr. Raymond Burr, forever remembered as the unshakable and brilliant defense attorney Perry Mason, became a television legend whose career thrived across decades. Renowned for his authoritative demeanor and his skill in bringing depth to every role, Burr rose to fame through iconic performances in Perry Mason and Ironside. His on-screen image as a towering figure of legal prowess mirrored the carefully guarded narrative he crafted around his personal affairs. Away from the spotlight, Burr's sexual orientation was a closely guarded secret in Hollywood. To safeguard his career during a time when being openly gay could spell professional disaster, Burr constructed a fabricated backstory. He claimed to have lost a wife and child, a tale entirely devoid of truth, but effective in deflecting inquiries into his private world. In reality, Burr shared a 35-year bond with Robert Benavides, a former actor turned wine producer. Their lifelong partnership only emerged publicly after Burr passed away in 1993. Despite the veils of secrecy, Burr's enduring legacy centers on the excellence of his craft and the admiration he garnered within the industry. He was fiercely protective of his privacy, a peer remarked, highlighting Burr's quiet determination. In hindsight, the realities of Burr's life serve as a poignant reminder of the immense challenges faced by LGBTQ+ individuals in mid-century Hollywood, as well as the extraordinary measures stars took to balance their personal truths with societal demands. Cesar Romero. Cesar Romero, celebrated for his unforgettable role as the Joker in the 1960s Batman series, became a staple of classic Hollywood. With his striking appearance, effortless charm, and commanding screen presence, he solidified his status as the archetypal Latin lover in films like Captain from Castile and The Thin Man. Emitting elegance and magnetism, Romero earned acclaim as both a dependable leading man and a versatile character actor over decades. Away from the camera, Romero's personal life remained as elusive as his captivating grin. Never married and seldom linked to long-term partners, he was frequently paired with female celebrities in the press, a common tactic at the time to deflect unwanted scrutiny. Still, within Hollywood's inner circles, it was an open secret that Romero was gay. Though he never publicly addressed his sexual orientation, neither did he appear overly preoccupied with concealing it, fostering an air of intrigue that preserved his private world. Romero's tact allowed him to maneuver through an industry and era marked by harsh intolerance toward openly gay individuals. Despite the whispers, his fame never faltered. "He was a gentleman to everyone," a fellow actor once remarked, emphasizing how his warmth bridged the divide between his public persona and private reality. Tony Randall. Tony Randall, best known for his role as the meticulous Felix Unger in the classic sitcom The Odd Couple, was a master of comedic timing and elegance. His portrayal of the neurotic yet endearing Felix won over audiences and solidified his place as one of television's most cherished actors. Off-screen, Randall exuded sophistication and humor, often defying societal expectations in both his career and personal life. Throughout his career, Randall faced ongoing rumors regarding his sexuality, largely due to his refined mannerisms, bachelor lifestyle in his younger years, and the absence of high-profile romantic relationships. He was married to Florence Gibbs for 50 years until her death in 1992, but his private life remained shrouded in mystery. Speculation intensified when, at the age of 75, he married Heather Harlan, a woman much younger than him and fathered 2 children later in life. Choices that took many by surprise. Despite the ongoing gossip, Randall never addressed the rumors directly, preferring instead to concentrate on his work and charitable efforts. "I don't care what people say, as long as they're talking," he once joked, showing his ability to rise above the speculation. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift, a luminary of Hollywood's golden age, was revered for his hauntingly handsome features and deeply vulnerable portrayals in masterpieces such as Judgment at Nuremberg, From Here to Eternity, and A Place in the Sun. Frequently likened to James Dean and Marlon Brando, Clift embodied the archetype of the anguished, sensitive male protagonist, reshaping notions of masculinity on screen. Beneath his professional triumphs, however, lay a life rife with inner turmoil and hardship. Though Clift engaged in relationships with both women and men, his sexual orientation remained a tightly concealed aspect of his identity, profoundly influencing his self-perception. In an era when homosexuality was not only stigmatized but also illegal, Clift grappled with deep-seated shame and societal judgment. While close companions like Elizabeth Taylor and other allies were privy to his truth and provided solace, his internal conflict over his identity fueled a chaotic personal life compounded by struggles with addiction. After a catastrophic car crash in 1956 that marred his once iconic visage, Clift's well-being and career trajectory began a gradual descent. Despite these adversities, he persisted in delivering unforgettable performances, solidifying his status as one of Hollywood's most gifted actors. Clift died in 1966 at the age of 45. His enduring legacy as both a performer and an individual remains multifaceted, defined by unparalleled artistry, profound suffering, and the quiet bravery required to navigate an unforgiving world while living his truth in the shadows of celebrity. James Mitchell. James Mitchell, best known for his portrayal of the suave and devious Palmer Cortland on All My Children, enjoyed a long and cherished presence on television. His career, which spanned Broadway and television, earned him recognition for his artistry, professionalism, and commanding performances. Mitchell's Broadway credits included notable roles in musicals such as Brigadoon and Carousel, where he showcased his incredible talents as both an actor and dancer before making his mark on the soap opera world. In contrast to the dramatic characters he portrayed on screen, Mitchell led a life off camera that was far more private. A gay man, he had a 39-year relationship with costume designer Albert Wolski. Although Mitchell never publicly came out, his sexuality was well known within his circle of close friends and colleagues who admired his quiet authenticity. He preferred to keep the focus on his craft, protecting his personal life in an era where coming out could threaten one's career. Mitchell's decision to remain private about his personal life reflected the difficult realities faced by LGBTQ+ performers of his time. He lived his truth quietly, but with dignity, one colleague said, underscoring Mitchell's commitment to his loved ones while navigating a world that often demanded discretion. George Nader. George Nader, a strikingly handsome and magnetic leading man of the 1950s, drew audiences with his charm and appeal in films such as Six Bridges to Cross and Robot Monster. Though he never reached the pinnacle of stardom, he was a reliable figure in Hollywood, admired by fans and esteemed by colleagues. However, Nader's burgeoning career faltered as whispers about his sexual orientation spread, an insurmountable offense in an era dominated by rigid heteronormative standards. While Nader never openly addressed his sexuality during his acting years, he lived authentically behind closed doors. His enduring partnership with Mark Miller, lasting more than 55 years, became the foundation of his life. The couple maintained a close bond with Rock Hudson, whose own battles with hiding his true self often paralleled Nader's experiences. As Hollywood intensified its scrutiny of stars deemed controversial, Nader distanced himself from acting in the early 1970s, redirecting his focus toward writing. Withdrawing from the limelight, Nader and Miller built a peaceful, fulfilling life together, unburdened by the demands of Hollywood. Despite the hurdles he encountered in his professional journey, Nader's legacy endures as one of quiet strength. George lived his truth where it counted most, at home, surrounded by love, a friend once remarked. Upon his death in 2002, Nader was celebrated not only for his artistic contributions, but also for his dignity in navigating the intricate dance of fame and identity during a profoundly oppressive period. Was Hollywood unfair to George Nader and other actors forced to hide their sexuality? Comment yes if you agree, no if you believe it was just a product of the times. Let's discuss ethical responsibility. Merv Griffin. Merv Griffin, a towering figure in television history, made a lasting impact on the entertainment world. Famous for hosting The Merv Griffin Show and creating iconic game shows like Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, Griffin's charm and creativity earned him widespread fame. His success as a talk show host and producer elevated him to media mogul status, but his personal life was kept largely out of the public eye. Throughout his career, speculation about Griffin's sexuality persisted, fueled by his bachelor lifestyle and close friendships with men. Although legal disputes in his later years hinted at same-sex relationships, Griffin never openly addressed the rumors, keeping a firm divide between his professional persona and private life. In his trademark witty fashion, he deflected questions with remarks like, "I'll tell you this, I never got complaints from either sex." Despite the ongoing rumors about his sexuality, Griffin's discretion allowed him to navigate an era when public acknowledgement of one's homosexuality could threaten a career. Even in his later years, he continued to remain tight-lipped about his personal life, ensuring that his legacy as a groundbreaking television innovator remained the focus. Griffin passed away in 2007, leaving behind a vast entertainment empire and a legacy shaped by his creative brilliance. Kerwin Matthews. Kerwin Matthews, celebrated as the daring hero in fantasy staples like The Three Worlds of Gulliver and The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, emerged as a quintessential matinee idol during the late 1950s and early 1960s. With his youthful charm and gallant presence, he became a cherished figure in family-oriented epics, encapsulating the enchanting allure of Hollywood's golden age of fantasy cinema. Away from the screen, Matthews led a life far more subdued and private than the adventurous roles he portrayed. Though he never publicly discussed his sexual orientation during his Hollywood years, Matthews kept his personal affairs discreetly shielded. After stepping away from acting in the late 1960s, he relocated to San Francisco, where he lived openly as a gay man alongside his partner, Tom Nicole. Their bond endured for over 46 years, a profound testament to lasting love in an era when such relationships were seldom recognized. Although Matthews refrained from bringing his private life into the public eye, those near to him understood the genuine joy and fulfillment he discovered in his later years. Turning his back on fame, Matthews and Nicole embraced a tranquil existence together, worlds apart from the fantastical realms of his movies. Upon his death in 2007, Matthews left a legacy defined by his iconic performances and a personal narrative that highlights the tension between Hollywood's insistence on secrecy and the profound contentment found in living authentically. Rock Hudson. Rock Hudson, one of Hollywood's most adored leading men, personified the golden age of cinema with his rugged charm and striking good looks. Known for starring in iconic films like Pillow Talk Giant and All That Heaven Allows, Hudson embodied the quintessential romantic hero. On screen, he portrayed the ideal gentleman, the irresistible heartthrob every woman dreamed of marrying. Off-screen, however, Hudson led a life of secrecy, concealing his homosexuality to protect his career and uphold his carefully crafted public image. Throughout his career, Hudson went to great lengths to maintain the appearance of heterosexuality. In 1955, his studio arranged a brief marriage of convenience with his secretary to quell rumors about his sexuality. But behind the scenes, Hudson had relationships with men, finding comfort in private spaces where he could truly be himself. Hudson's secret life was exposed in 1984 when he was diagnosed with AIDS, a revelation that shocked both his fans and the entertainment world. His battle with the disease, which ultimately led to his death in 1985, became a pivotal moment in the public's understanding of the AIDS epidemic. His illness and passing helped to break the stigma surrounding the disease, making it more relatable for millions and sparking vital discussions about LGBTQ+ rights and healthcare. Lynde. Lynde, the quick-witted comedian and television icon, cemented his place in pop culture history with his hilariously sardonic wit on Hollywood squares. His over-the-top, campy persona made him unforgettable, whether he was voicing characters like Templeton the Rat in Charlotte's Web or delivering scene-stealing moments in sitcoms such as Bewitched. Lynde's sharp humor and flamboyant style endeared him to audiences, even as it quietly alluded to aspects of his life he kept concealed. In Hollywood circles, Lynde's homosexuality was widely known, yet never publicly addressed. During a time when being openly gay could derail a career, Lynde's signature brand of camp allowed him to express facets of his identity through comedy, while sidestepping direct scrutiny. Nevertheless, the weight of living in the closet, combined with the demands of fame, fueled personal challenges, including a lifelong struggle with alcoholism. Despite these hardships, Lynde's comedic genius remained unmatched. His often cheekily risque one-liners on Hollywood squares became his hallmark, and his bold, larger-than-life presence stood out in an industry dominated by traditional masculine norms. "I'm not a kidder," Lynde once remarked. "When I say something funny, it's a declaration of truth." Lynde died in 1982, leaving a legacy of trailblazing humor that carries a bittersweet undertone. Charles Gray. Charles Gray, with his authoritative demeanor and velvety voice, became a staple in film and television, achieving enduring fame as the chilling Ernst Stavro Blofeld in Diamonds Are Forever and the slyly humorous criminologist in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. A master of character acting, Gray's knack for embodying aristocratic villains and mysterious figures made him unforgettable in roles that continue to captivate audiences. Away from the screen, Gray maintained a life of quiet reserve. Though he never openly addressed his sexual orientation, it was an open secret within the industry that he was gay. In a time when such truths could jeopardize a career, Gray opted to keep his personal affairs entirely detached from his public image. His colleagues in the acting world, honoring his privacy, avoided turning his private life into tabloid material. Gray's deliberate absence from the limelight outside his professional endeavors added an air of intrigue, harmonizing perfectly with the poised and refined characters he so often portrayed. Despite his preference for anonymity, his performances left a lasting impression on viewers, whether through the icy menace of Blofeld or the delightfully campy wit of his Rocky Horror narrator. When Gray passed away in 2000, he left a legacy of iconic roles that highlighted his extraordinary range. His life stands as a testament to the quiet grace with which many LGBTQ+ performers navigated the challenges posed by an industry and a society that frequently required their silence. Jack Cassidy. Jack Cassidy, a charismatic and versatile performer, left a lasting impression on both stage and screen with his captivating presence and smooth charm. A seasoned Broadway actor, he earned praise for his roles in productions like She Loves Me and Maggie Flynn, and later brought his magnetic energy to television, making memorable guest appearances on shows such as Columbo and The Partridge Family. However, behind the scenes, Cassidy's life was as dramatic as any character he portrayed. Although he was married to actress Shirley Jones and had 3 sons with her, Cassidy's bisexuality was one of Hollywood's worst-kept secrets. Known to have had relationships with both men and women, he never publicly acknowledged his sexuality, choosing instead to navigate a world that demanded discretion. Despite the rumors surrounding his personal life, Cassidy kept a low profile regarding his true identity. Cassidy's struggles extended beyond his private life as he battled alcoholism, which strained his relationships and impacted his career. Despite these personal challenges, he remained a charming and in-demand talent until his tragic death in a house fire in 1976. Jack Cassidy's legacy is both intricate and poignant, a portrayal of a man whose immense talent was overshadowed by personal struggles. Today, he is remembered not only for his unforgettable performances, but also as a figure who epitomized the pressures of Hollywood, where charm and secrecy were often intertwined. George Maharis. George Maharis gained fame in the 1960s for his role as Buzz Murdoch, the charismatic drifter in the iconic series Route 66. With his rugged good looks and magnetic charm, Maharis became a television heartthrob, embodying the spirit of adventure and freedom that defined the show. His rise to fame solidified his place as one of the era's most promising stars. However, Maharis's career took a dramatic turn in 1967 when he was arrested for lewd conduct with another man in a public restroom. At a time when homosexuality was criminalized and heavily stigmatized, the incident effectively outed Maharis to the public. Although he never publicly came out, the scandal severely impacted his career, making it difficult for him to secure leading roles in the years that followed. Despite the setback, Maharis continued to work in television and film, making appearances in shows like Fantasy Island and Murder, She Wrote. However, the opportunities became fewer, and his career never regained the level of success he had enjoyed during his Route 66 days. In his later years, Maharis retreated from the public eye, leading a much more private life than in his earlier years of fame. Maharis's story serves as a poignant reminder of the harsh realities faced by LGBTQ+ actors in mid-20th century Hollywood. His undeniable talent and charm were overshadowed by the societal prejudices of the time, which curtailed what could have been an even more illustrious career. Nigel Hawthorne. Nigel Hawthorne, revered for his unforgettable roles in Yes, Minister and The Madness of King George, stood among the most esteemed actors of his time. Renowned for seamlessly blending sharp wit with deep emotional resonance, his career flourished across both stage and screen, garnering him numerous honors, including a BAFTA and an Oscar nomination. Despite his professional achievements, Hawthorne maintained a guarded approach to his personal life throughout much of his career. For over 2 decades, he shared a quiet life with his partner, Trevor Bentham, exercising caution during an era when being openly gay could threaten an actor's career. In 1995, however, at the peak of his success, Hawthorne was outed by the British press amid coverage of his Academy Award nomination for The Madness of King George. Though initially uneasy about the exposure of his private world, Hawthorne confronted the situation with both honesty and grace, speaking openly about his sexuality in later interviews. "I wasn't ashamed," he remarked, "but I cherished what Trevor and I had." His openness played a pivotal role in challenging enduring prejudices within the industry and society, serving as a testament to resilience under pressure. Hawthorne died in 2001, leaving a legacy marked by extraordinary talent and quiet fortitude. His story encapsulates the complexities of embracing personal authenticity in a profession shaped by public image, as well as the dignity with which he navigated those challenges. Roddy McDowall. Roddy McDowall, celebrated for his memorable performances in classics like How Green Was My Valley and the Planet of the Apes series, was a beloved figure in Hollywood. Starting his career as a child actor, McDowall seamlessly transitioned into respected adult roles, demonstrating impressive versatility from endearing characters to more complex ones. His talent, paired with his kindness and professionalism, earned him the admiration of fans and colleagues alike. Off-screen, McDowall was a private individual, carefully shielding his personal relationships from the public eye. While he never openly addressed his sexuality, it was widely known within Hollywood that McDowall was gay. He formed strong, lasting friendships within the LGBTQ+ community and was renowned for his loyalty and discretion. Choosing not to marry or publicly discuss his personal life, McDowall remained focused on his work and relationships, building a reputation as both a consummate professional and a trusted confidant. McDowall's colleagues respected his choice to avoid engaging with the gossip culture of the time, honoring his desire for privacy. He was a gentleman in every sense of the word, one friend remarked, emphasizing the grace with which he navigated Hollywood's often intrusive nature. When McDowall passed away in 1998, he left behind a legacy of unforgettable performances and lifelong friendships. His life stands as a testament to the quiet strength of living authentically on one's own terms, even in an era when doing so carried considerable risk. James Coco, the beloved character actor renowned for his comedic talent, left a lasting impression in films like Only When I Laugh and The Muppets Take Manhattan. With his unique presence, Coco brought warmth, humor, and charm to every role, earning both an Academy Award nomination and a Tony Award for his exceptional work. His larger-than-life personality and flawless timing made him a standout both in Hollywood and on Broadway, where he effortlessly combined comedy with genuine emotion. Off-screen, Coco led a much more private life than his vibrant on-screen persona suggested. Although he never publicly came out, his sexuality was widely known among his friends and colleagues. In an era when being openly gay could hinder a career, Coco opted for discretion, allowing his professional achievements to take the spotlight. Those who were close to him admired his authenticity, but Coco never felt the need to make his personal life a public matter, choosing instead to keep it separate from his public identity. Coco's infectious energy and sharp wit were central to his career, but his private life mirrored the struggles faced by LGBTQ+ actors during Hollywood's more restrictive years. His professional success and captivating personality left a permanent mark on the entertainment world. When he passed away in 1987, he was remembered not only for his comedic genius, but also for the quiet dignity with which he navigated his life, showing that talent and humanity could surpass labels. Dick Sargent. Dick Sargent, best known as the second Darren Stevens on the iconic sitcom Bewitched, charmed audiences with his wit and relatable everyman appeal during one of television's most cherished periods. His affable on-screen presence cemented his place in American pop culture. Yet behind his cheerful demeanor lay a truth he concealed for much of his career, his identity as a gay man. For years, Sargent kept his sexual orientation hidden, wary of the consequences of coming out in an entertainment industry unwelcoming to LGBTQ+ actors. In 1991, however, he bravely stepped forward, becoming one of the few actors of his generation to publicly embrace his identity. This bold decision marked a transformative chapter in his life as Sargent devoted himself to advocating for LGBTQ+ rights and raising awareness about HIV/AIDS. "It's about time," he remarked upon coming out, expressing both his sense of liberation and his resolve to create meaningful change. Sargent leveraged his visibility to champion the gay community, openly discussing the struggles he endured while promoting acceptance and equality. His activism became as integral to his legacy as his acting, establishing him as a pioneer for LGBTQ+ visibility in Hollywood. When Sargent succumbed to prostate cancer in 1994, he left a dual legacy, one of enduring performances and another of courage and advocacy. His life continues to inspire, serving as a testament to the importance of living authentically and striving for progress. When Michael Jordan returned to Laney High School in Wilmington, North Carolina, he expected to relive memories of his basketball beginnings. What he didn't anticipate was seeing Mr. Wilson, the janitor who had supported him years ago after he was cut from the varsity basketball team. Now 80 years old, Mr. Wilson was still mopping the gym floors with the same care and dedication he had shown when Michael was just a teenage hopeful. For Michael, this moment was a powerful reminder of how far he had come. He had always known the importance of perseverance, but seeing Mr. Wilson still at work after so many years made him reflect on his own journey. Sometimes you need to remember where you started to make sense of where you ended up, Michael thought as he watched the elderly man, whose quiet belief in him had made all the difference. Back in high school, Mr. Wilson had been a quiet mentor. He let Michael practice in the gym long after hours and offered encouraging words when no one else did. That support, when Michael was at his lowest, had inspired him to push forward rather than quit. Seeing Mr. Wilson now still faithfully working reminded Michael of the silent, unsung heroes who impact lives without seeking recognition. This encounter marked a turning point for Michael, making him realize that sometimes it's the smallest acts of kindness that have the most profound effects. Michael's return to Laney High wasn't just about revisiting the past. It was about honoring the people who helped shape his future, including the man who believed in him when no one else did. As Michael stood in the gym, memories flooded back. He remembered the countless hours he spent practicing, trying to perfect his jump shot after being cut from the varsity team. The sting of that rejection still lingered, but it had fueled a fire inside him, a determination to never be overlooked again. As he walked through the gym, he noticed the familiar figure of Mr. Wilson, the school janitor who had always let him stay late to practice. The elderly man, now 80 years old, was quietly mopping the floor. Michael approached him, unsure if he would be recognized after all these years. "Excuse me, sir," Michael said. Mr. Wilson looked up, squinting, and then smiled with a hint of confusion. "Gym's closed unless you're here for one of the girls," he said. When Michael introduced himself as Little Mike Jordan, a flicker of recognition crossed Mr. Wilson's face. "Well, I'll be Little Mike. You've grown a bit." As the two talked, Michael was struck by how Mr. Wilson, despite his age, was still faithfully doing the same job he had done decades ago. At 80, Mr. Wilson was still working full-time, mopping floors, keeping the gym spotless, and never asking for recognition. The sight of Mr. Wilson, so dedicated yet still working to make ends meet, stirred something in Michael. This man had quietly supported him when no one else did, offering him a place to practice, a word of encouragement when he was struggling. It wasn't just a gym that Mr. Wilson had opened for him all those years ago, it was a door to his future. Michael knew in that moment that he couldn't just walk away. He had to do something to repay Mr. Wilson for his unwavering belief. Michael Jordan spots his high school janitor still working at 80, and what he does next will leave you speechless. Drop a 1 in the comments, and stick around until the end to uncover the heartwarming story. After their emotional reunion at the gym, Michael invited Mr. Wilson to dinner at Katie's Diner, a place that held special memories for him from his childhood. As they sat down at a booth, Michael couldn't help but feel a deep sense of connection to the man who had supported him during his most uncertain years. Over cheeseburgers and milkshakes, Mr. Wilson began to open up about his life. He shared stories of his long marriage to Martha, his high school sweetheart, and how they had built a life together. They had raised 2 children and now enjoyed the love of grandchildren, though Martha's stroke 3 years ago had changed everything. She was now in a wheelchair, unable to move freely around their home. Michael was struck by how Mr. Wilson spoke about his family. There was a quiet strength in his words, a humility that reflected the sacrifices he had made for them. But when the conversation turned to finances, the reality became clear. Mr. Wilson had worked at Laney High for 47 years, yet with his limited pension and Martha's medical bills, retirement wasn't a feasible option. The thought of continuing to work at 80 just to survive troubled Michael deeply. Later that evening, Michael visited the Wilsons' modest home. The house, though clean and well-kept, showed signs of neglect. Peeling paint, sagging steps, and a worn-out interior. He met Martha, who greeted him warmly despite the visible struggle of moving in her wheelchair. The sight of Mr. Wilson sleeping on a thin mattress on the floor next to his wife's hospital bed hit Michael hard. The love between the two was palpable, but their living conditions were far from what they deserved. As Michael observed their home, he saw the cracks that ran deeper than just the house. It wasn't just the physical state of the place. It was the weight of their financial burden, the exhaustion in Mr. Wilson's eyes as he spoke of the countless hours of work he had put in, and the quiet sacrifices that had gone unnoticed by most. It was clear to Michael that Mr. Wilson had given everything for his family, yet still found himself trapped in a cycle of hardship. It was in that moment, as Michael watched the quiet strength of the Wilsons, that he realized how much he wanted to help them. Determined to make a difference, Michael knew he had to shift his priorities. The next morning, he cancelled his business meetings and rescheduled his flight, fully committing to helping the Wilsons. Sometimes you need to remember where you started to make sense of where you ended up, he thought, as he reflected on how far he had come, thanks to Mr. Wilson's belief in him. He began making calls, first to his business manager, then his lawyer, and finally to a local contractor named Dave. Michael outlined his plan for a complete home renovation for the Wilsons, knowing time was of the essence. "It needs to be fast, perfect, and a total surprise," he told Dave, emphasizing that there was no room for error. When Michael met with Dave later that day, he was clear about his expectations. "We've got to make this happen in a week, no excuses," he said. "This place has to feel like a home that reflects everything Mr. Wilson has given up for his family." Dave, though initially shocked by the short timeline, understood the urgency and nodded. "We'll make it happen, Mr. Jordan. No one's ever done something like this before, but I promise we'll get it right." As the plan took shape, Michael began assembling a team to address every aspect of the Wilsons' needs, financial, healthcare, and home-related. He reached out to financial experts to ensure the Wilsons' future was secured, a healthcare team to assist with Martha's needs, and a support network to help them manage the transition. "I want them to never worry about anything again," Michael said firmly. "This isn't just about a house, it's about giving them the life they deserve." He was more determined than ever to see the plan through, knowing that Mr. Wilson had given so much without ever expecting anything in return. As the scope of the project grew, Michael knew he couldn't do it alone. He began assembling a team of experts, reaching out to contractors, designers, healthcare specialists, and financial advisors to bring the renovation and support plan to life. He was clear about his vision. "I want this to be more than just a house. It needs to be a place where they can truly live, not just survive." The team quickly got to work, with the contractors focused on the house overhaul, designers ensuring the space was not only functional but beautiful, and healthcare specialists planning modifications for Martha's wheelchair accessibility. Michael also established a trust fund to ensure the Wilsons had long-term financial stability, covering both medical expenses and any future needs. "They shouldn't have to worry about a thing after this," Michael said, his voice resolute. The timeline was tight, just 1 week, but with the entire team on board, they were determined to make it happen. "No shortcuts," Michael reminded them as they discussed the project. "We're doing this right, even if it takes every ounce of effort we've got." To give the team the time they needed to work undisturbed, Michael invited Mr. and Mrs. Wilson to a special week-long basketball camp reunion at the beach. "I want them to enjoy themselves, not have to think about what's going on here," Michael said. It was the perfect cover, allowing the team a window to complete the renovations without raising any suspicion. Scottie Pippen, always willing to help a friend, was quick to offer his support. "I'm in, Mike, whatever you need," Scottie said, eager to assist with the logistics of the surprise. As the team came together, Michael felt the weight of his decision but also the energy of what they were about to accomplish. This isn't just about fixing up a house. It's about showing Mr. Wilson he's valued, finally. As the renovation project progressed, Michael quickly realized that it was becoming more than just a physical transformation of the Wilsons' home. It was evolving into something deeper, something that would resonate far beyond the walls of their modest house. The work wasn't just about fixing broken windows or repairing a roof. It was about acknowledging the quiet, often unseen heroes who dedicate their lives to others without ever seeking recognition. "I didn't expect this to go beyond just helping Mr. Wilson," Michael thought as he watched the transformation unfold. But seeing the way this community is coming together, it's about more than just a house, it's about honoring people like Mr. Wilson. The project garnered more attention than Michael had anticipated. Neighbors, former students, and even local businesses were offering support, with everyone eager to contribute in their own way. Michael began to realize that this wasn't just a single act of kindness, it was a movement to recognize those who work thankless jobs, who often go unappreciated, and yet give so much to others. Inspired by the growing support, Michael decided to take the initiative even further. He began working on a charity foundation dedicated to supporting those in roles like Mr. Wilson's. "It's time these people get the recognition they deserve," Michael said. The James Wilson Foundation would focus on creating scholarships, providing emergency funds, and offering recognition programs for those who, like Mr. Wilson, served silently but made a lasting impact on their communities. Should more celebrities follow Michael Jordan's lead and use their platform to support community initiatives and unsung heroes? Yes or no? What do you think is the responsibility of public figures? The foundation's early support was overwhelming. In just a short time, it had raised $3 million, and Michael knew this was just the beginning. This is about more than just one person. It's about changing the way we see the people who shape our communities, he said, fully committed to creating a lasting legacy in Mr. Wilson's honor. As Michael returned to Laney High and the renovation work began in full force, word had already spread throughout the community. The project had sparked an outpouring of support, with former staff members, neighbors, and current school employees all eager to pitch in. It was clear that this was more than just a renovation. It had become a collective mission. "I've never seen anything like this," one local contractor remarked, shaking his head as he surveyed the site. The entire town had rallied together to make the Wilsons' home safe, accessible, and, above all, comfortable. With Michael leading the charge, the scope of the operation expanded quickly. Volunteers and professionals alike worked tirelessly, transforming every inch of the house. The renovation was no longer just about making a house functional. It was about creating a space that would give the Wilsons a well-deserved sense of peace and security. As he walked through the house, Michael couldn't help but feel a swell of pride in the community's efforts. "This is what it's all about," he said, watching as another crew set up ramps and widened doorways. However, not all eyes were focused on the work itself. A local news crew arrived, eager to capture Michael's involvement in the project. While he was committed to seeing the renovation through, Michael was sternly opposed to any publicity about his role. "This is not about me," he stated firmly to the reporter. "This is about Mr. Wilson. It's his story that needs to be told, not mine." In a quiet but firm conversation with the news team, Michael reached an agreement. They would be allowed to document the renovation once it was completed, but the focus would remain solely on Mr. Wilson and the incredible support he had received from the community. "We're honoring a lifetime of service," Michael said. "This is his moment, not mine." The team agreed, and the spotlight would remain where it truly belonged, on the quiet hero who had spent decades giving without expectation. After 2 days of intense work, the transformation of the Wilsons' home was already striking. The new accessible bathroom was fully installed, complete with a roll-in shower and safety features. The foundation for the expanded hallway was complete, and the interior of the house was slowly beginning to take shape. It was clear to everyone on site that this wasn't just about physical improvements. It was about creating a space that would support the Wilsons' future. As the renovations continued, former students began showing up to lend a hand. Many of them had heard about the project and wanted to give back to the man who had given so much to them. One by one, they shared their stories of how Mr. Wilson had quietly changed their lives. "He stayed late to help me with my homework when no one else would," one former student recalled, as she helped paint the living room walls. "When I couldn't afford a prom dress, he found a way to get me one." Each story seemed to add another layer to the growing sense of community, as more people connected with the impact Mr. Wilson had had on their lives. It became evident that his influence stretched far beyond the school grounds and had touched the lives of so many in ways that had often gone unacknowledged. Despite the progress, there was still much work left to do. "We're not done yet," Michael reminded the team as they prepared for another long day. "The house is coming together, but we've got to make sure it's exactly what the Wilsons need." It was a reminder that the task wasn't just about creating a home. It was about making sure every detail, every adjustment was in place to ensure the Wilsons could truly live comfortably and safely in their new space. The work was far from over, but with each passing day, the project felt more like a labor of love, one that would change their lives forever. What had started as a private mission quickly became a community-wide effort. As the renovation progressed, neighbors began showing up at the Wilsons' home, offering their time, skills, and resources. Materials, tools, and even home-cooked meals flooded in, with everyone eager to contribute to the cause. It was clear that this wasn't just about rebuilding a house. It was about honoring a man who had quietly given so much to the community. Former students of Mr. Wilson who had heard about the project shared their own stories of how he had shaped their lives. One man, now in his 40s, stood by the front porch and recalled how Mr. Wilson had taught him the value of hard work. He was always there, whether I was struggling in school or just needed someone to listen. He never asked for anything in return, just made me feel like I mattered, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Love this video? Show some love with a like and a subscribe. Hate it? A like would still be awesome, and your feedback in the comments will help me improve. As these stories poured in, it became clear that Mr. Wilson's impact on the community went far beyond his work at the school. His dedication and quiet kindness had touched so many lives in ways that had often gone unnoticed. And now, with this renovation, the entire community had the chance to give back, to honor the man who had always worked behind the scenes to make their lives better. What started as something personal has turned into something much bigger, Michael remarked, as he watched the neighbors work together. This is a reflection of the kind of person Mr. Wilson is, a man whose kindness and generosity have spread through this town, and now the whole town is coming together to honor him. What was once a solitary effort to help an elderly janitor had grown into a collective mission, a celebration of a man whose life of service had been the backbone of the community for decades. As the day of the Wilsons' return drew closer, the team worked tirelessly to add the final touches to the house. New furniture was arranged, decorative pieces carefully placed, and every detail was examined to ensure that the space would feel like a true home for Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. The atmosphere was one of quiet anticipation, as everyone knew the moment they had been working toward was almost here. The final day arrived, and as the Wilsons made their way back from the beach house, Michael stood by the front door, ready to greet them. His heart raced with excitement, knowing how much this moment would mean to them. The team had worked day and night, but now it was time to reveal the transformation. When the Wilsons pulled up, Michael stepped forward with a warm smile. As Mr. and Mrs. Wilson stepped out of the car, Michael extended a pair of scissors to Mr. Wilson, who looked confused but touched. "This is for you," Michael said. "You've always opened doors for others. Now it's your turn to open this one." With a look of wonder, Mr. Wilson took the scissors and, with a shaking hand, cut the ribbon that adorned the front door. As he stepped inside, the Wilsons were greeted by the sight of their home, transformed. The once dilapidated house now sparkled with warmth and comfort, a space designed to make their lives easier, safer, and full of joy. In that moment, as Mr. Wilson stood speechless, Michael knew the work had been worth it. This was more than just a house. It was a testament to a lifetime of quiet dedication, finally acknowledged by the people who had witnessed his impact. The homecoming wasn't just about returning to a house, it was about celebrating a man who had given so much to so many. As Mr. and Mrs. Wilson stepped inside, their eyes widened in disbelief. The transformation was nothing short of remarkable. The once narrow, cramped hallways had been replaced with wide, open spaces designed for easy wheelchair access. The soft lighting and tasteful decor created a warm and inviting atmosphere that instantly made the house feel like a home. Michael guided them through each room, explaining the details of the renovations: the accessible kitchen, the wide doorways, the roll-in shower that now made it possible for Martha to move freely. Everywhere they looked, there were thoughtful touches that reflected the care and effort put into the project. "This is all for you," Michael said, his voice full of emotion. Tears welled up in Mrs. Wilson's eyes as she took in her new surroundings. "I can't believe it," she whispered, running her hand over the smooth countertops. "This is more than we could ever have dreamed of." As they continued through the house, Michael paused in the living room and turned to them, his expression serious. "There's one more thing," he said. "We've set up a trust fund for both of you through Laney High, funded by the people who care about you the most. your neighbors, your community, and all the former students whose lives you've touched. Just as he spoke, the front door opened and a wave of familiar faces stepped into the room. Former students, neighbors, and current staff from Laney High, all of whom had contributed in some way to the renovation, gathered around the Wilsons. They were met with hugs, handshakes, and expressions of deep gratitude. Each person took a moment to thank Mr. and Mrs. Wilson for the positive impact they had made on their lives, sharing stories of how Mr. Wilson had been there for them during tough times, how he had believed in them when no one else did. Mr. Wilson, his voice breaking, stood silently as the love and admiration of those around him poured out. "I never expected anything like this," he murmured, overwhelmed by the outpouring of affection. It was a moment of profound gratitude, one where the quiet efforts of a lifetime were finally recognized and celebrated, not just in words, but in the tangible legacy of a home built with love and respect. As the outpouring of support continued from the neighbors and community, Michael realized that this project was only the beginning. The love and gratitude shown to Mr. and Mrs. Wilson were just a glimpse of what could be done for others like him, those who had given their time, energy, and hearts to help others without ever expecting recognition. With that in mind, Michael made a bold announcement. Standing before the gathered community in the newly renovated living room, he spoke with deep conviction. "Today, we celebrate Mr. Wilson's life of service, but we're not stopping here. I'm proud to announce the creation of the James Wilson Foundation. It's dedicated to supporting those who work behind the scenes to make our communities better, just like Mr. Wilson has done for decades. I'll be sitting on the board, and I promise you all we will work tirelessly to ensure that the kind of support you've shown here today will extend to many others." The room erupted in applause, a collective acknowledgement that this was just the start of something bigger. The foundation would focus on providing grants, scholarships, and support to those who served quietly and selflessly, making a difference without ever asking for anything in return. Meanwhile, in the comfort of his newly renovated home and a space that Michael had helped create for him, Mr. Wilson found peace in knowing that the next phase of his life was beginning. His new office, designed specifically to allow him to work comfortably, was set up with all the tools he needed to help lead the foundation. The humble janitor who had spent years cleaning floors and opening doors for others was now in a position to open even more doors, this time to empower and honor those who had dedicated their lives to serving others. As he settled into his new role, Mr. Wilson could finally look forward to a future where he could continue to give, this time through the foundation, with the support of his community, his family, and Michael by his side. It was a new chapter for a man who had never stopped believing in others, and now it was time for the world to believe in him. As the final touches were put on the Wilsons' new life, Michael stood quietly, reflecting on the journey he had embarked on. He had always thought of success in terms of championships, records, and accolades, but now he saw it differently. His legacy would be measured not by the rings on his fingers or the trophies on his shelf, but by the lives he had touched in a more meaningful way. Watching Mr. Wilson step into his new office, ready to lead the foundation and continue impacting lives, Michael realized that this was a victory unlike any other. The work they had done together wasn't just about fixing a house, it was about creating a lasting ripple effect that would reach far beyond their small corner of Wilmington. What we've done here, Michael thought, is just the beginning. This will go on long after I'm gone. The foundation, named in Mr. Wilson's honor, would live on, growing and supporting countless people who, like him, had given so much to their communities without seeking recognition. Michael understood now that the most profound victories were those that helped others find their strength, their worth, and their voice. For Michael, the true measure of success had shifted. The greatest triumph of his career wasn't the championships he won on the basketball court, but the opportunity to help someone who had shaped his life when he was just starting out. It was a moment of full-circle redemption, knowing that he had given back to the person who had changed him. In that moment, Michael understood that the work of caring for others, of lifting up the quiet heroes in the world, would always outlast any individual. It was a legacy of kindness, compassion, and love, one that would continue to grow, touch lives, and inspire others long after the final whistle had blown. This, he realized, was his greatest victory. These stars navigated a world of secrecy, fear, and silence, but their courage and talent continue to inspire us today. Their stories remind us that living authentically is worth the struggle, and sometimes the greatest strength is found in embracing who you truly are. But there's so much more to uncover about Hollywood's hidden truths. What other shocking secrets do these icons hold? Don't miss out. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the untold stories of the Golden Age, hit that like button, subscribe to Iconic Inside, and turn on notifications so you never miss a reveal. And hey, check out our previous videos for even more jaw-dropping Hollywood secrets.